Today's show is sponsored by the Electric Vehicle Association. Join up to support the electrification of transport today. And by CCAN Action Fund's electric vehicle raffle for the planet. Buy your ticket today to support their mission to fight for a cleaner air and a healthier environment, and get 3 chances to win a brand new EV with every ticket. And by Energy Sage. Plan your own energy independence and insulate yourself from rising energy costs. And by you. Stick around to find out how as to keep us 100% independent. Welcome back to another episode of TEN Transport Evolved News. Thanks for joining me. I hope that you are safe, well, and with someone you care about who also cares for you. We start today's show with what must be the most controversial EV revealed in the history of electric hypercars, the all-new Ferrari Luce. I know most of you aren't here for a €500,000 car built for the 0.1%, but this one's been in the spotlight this week for all the wrong reasons. Styled by former Apple design chief Jony Ive, the Luce is a 4-door Grand Tourer with quad-motor all-wheel drive, around 1,035 horsepower, a 2.5-second 0 to 100 km/h sprint time, at a real, if unconventional, soundtrack. And yet Ferrari's stock has dropped since the reveal. The Ferrari faithful are furious, and even a former company boss said he'd rather the prancing horse be removed from it entirely. Whether that's a broader backlash against EVs or just a reaction to what many are calling the iCar, the Jony Ive fingerprints are very obvious, Ferrari has clearly not won everyone over with its electric debut. But if you want more conventional EVs, here's some great news from Europe, where the industry body ACEA has published its April sales figures. EV registrations rose 37.7% year over year in April, with year-to-date sales now topping 747,000, nearly 20% of all new cars sold across the region. EVs were also April's fastest-growing segment, boosted in part by high fuel prices linked to the US conflict with Iran. Germany remained the continent's largest EV market, with more than 64,350 registrations during the month, up 41.3% year over year. While hybrids now account for the lion's share of all new vehicles sold so far this year, plug-in vehicles, EVs and PHEVs combined now outsell petrol. And with incentives and fuel prices both pushing drivers towards electric, indications are that the trend is set to continue. As many of you will know firsthand, once you go electric, you rarely go back. Chinese automaker NIO has officially launched its new flagship EV, the ES9, heading into an increasingly crowded premium EV segment where the competition is going to be tough. A full-sized SUV, the ES9 features all the tech you'd expect in a high-end model, including semi-autonomous drive capabilities, 3 tandem dual-layer AMOLED screens, and 2 16-inch executive screens capable of up to 3.3K resolution, and a frankly bonkers 47-speaker sound system. By this point, you probably picked up that this isn't a model designed for everyday folk. It's offered in 3 trims: Executive, Premium, Executive Signature and Horizon Edition, and on paper it looks like it can cash the checks it wants to write. 520 kilowatts of combined output, a 4.3-second 0 to 100 km/h sprint time, and a 102 kilowatt-hour CATL battery pack. But what's perhaps most interesting is that buyers can purchase the car and then lease the battery pack separately through NIO's battery-as-a-service system, paving the way for convenient battery swapping en route. Prices start at 498,000 yuan, or 390,000 yuan if you opt for the battery-as-a-service lease, which, for context, is less than half of what a Tesla Model X used to cost in China when it was still in production. Staying in China, Volkswagen, working with technology co-developed with local partner XPeng, has officially launched the ID Unyx 07. Built on a shared platform with XPeng, it's aimed at the competitive mid-market, with pricing starting from 129,900 yuan for the entry-level pure trim. The ID Unyx 07 is powered by a 170 kilowatt rear-mounted motor drawing from a 60 kilowatt-hour LFP battery pack, which is good for a claimed 558 kilometer CLTC range. Inside, there's an AI-powered LLM system, ambient lighting, a 10-inch digital instrument cluster, a 15-inch floating center touchscreen, and a 27-inch augmented reality head-up display. It's unlikely to ever go on sale outside of China, but order books are already open, and Volkswagen is clearly hoping this will help it claw back market share following a sharp early 2026 sales slowdown caused when China halved its EV purchase tax exemptions at the start of the year. The North American EV market has seen something of a split screen this year, US automakers pulling back on EVs at the White House's urging, while Canada opens its doors to Chinese-made models. This week, Stellantis CEO Antonio Filosa confirmed in a CNBC interview that he, quote, for sure, sees opportunities to expand manufacturing of Leapmotor vehicles into North America, specifically Mexico and Canada, with no similar plans for the US. Right now, Stellantis already partners with Leapmotor in Europe to bring affordable EVs to market and is clearly eyeing a similar play on this side of the Atlantic. In Canada, the long-idled Brampton assembly plant shut down early 2024 and stranded when Stellantis moved its planned Jeep production stateside, could potentially become the home for Leapmotor production, giving the company a competitive answer to Chinese imports. It's early days and a lot could change after November's US midterms. Rivian is now less than 2 weeks away from the start of deliveries for the R2, and this week the company set out exactly how the launch will work. June 9th is the official date when Rivian will begin sending order invitations to reservation holders on a rolling basis. Once you've configured your car and confirmed your order, Rivian estimates delivery within 2 to 6 weeks. Invite priority is based on when you reserved, how close you are to a Rivian service and demo centre, and which trim level you want, and not everyone will get their invite on day one. June 9th is also the first day the R2 will be available for public demo drives at Rivian Spaces, so if you've been on the fence, that's your chance to get behind the wheel before committing. If you're holding out for the entry-level standard R2 at $48,490, you'll be waiting until early 2027. But if you're willing to step up to the performance with launch package, you could be driving your Rivian by the start of summer. Earlier this year, I shared the news that BMW and Mercedes-Benz had shelved plans for Level 4 autonomous vehicle tech, focusing instead on lower-level semi-autonomous systems. This week, Mercedes-Benz put some meat on those bones, announcing it will launch its MB Drive Assist Pro system in select German cities by the end of this year, with a nationwide rollout following early next. The system offers automated door-to-door navigation in urban centres, as demonstrated at CES in Las Vegas earlier this year. It's eyes up, hands off, SAE Level 2, meaning the driver remains responsible and must stay alert at all times. Germany will actually be the third market to get the system after China, where it launched at the end of last year, and the US, where it arrived earlier in 2026. Interestingly, the two systems aren't identical under the hood, though. The Chinese version was built in partnership with local tech specialist Momenta, while the European and North American versions were developed with NVIDIA. Functionally similar, but it'll be worth watching whether any real-world differences emerge. Sticking with autonomous tech, Waymo is dealing with some serious egg on its face after a recent over-the-air update designed to stop its robotaxis driving into floodwater didn't stop said behaviour. Earlier this month, Waymo issued a voluntary recall of nearly 4,000 vehicles and pushed an over-the-air update after an unoccupied robotaxi in San Antonio was swept into a creek. The school bus problem, where Waymo vehicles were repeatedly caught illegally passing stopped school buses, was also supposed to have been fixed via an over-the-air update, only for the behaviour to continue. This week, history repeated itself when an unoccupied Waymo drove into a flooded street in Atlanta, where it sat stranded for about an hour before being recovered. The incident prompted Waymo to pause service across 5 cities: Atlanta, Dallas, Houston, San Antonio and Austin, though Atlanta has since resumed service as of the time of filming. The company acknowledges it still has no permanent fix for the flooding problem, and the future of self-driving cars, I think, still remains well out of reach. It has been impossible to make it through this year without witnessing the devastation wrought on the auto industry by various US government policies, and the ban on Chinese-made vehicles and connected car tech is near the top of the list. Ostensibly enacted on national security grounds under a rule that predates the current administration but is actively upheld by the current administration, many have surmised the real motivation is closer to protectionism, and while I'd never accuse anyone of selling exemptions without proof, it's worth noting that this week Volvo received a specific authorization from the US Commerce Department to continue selling connected vehicles in the US, despite being majority owned by China's Geely. No explanation was given beyond constructive discussions with government officials about data government. But hey, it's good news for those wanting the EX60, and a reminder that in Washington, the rules have a way of bending with the right persuasion. And finally for the segment, some good news on renewables. According to the EIA's latest Electric Power Monthly report covering data through to the end of March, renewable generation in the US was up 11.1% year over year in Q1, led by utility-scale solar, which jumped nearly 24%. And it gets better. The EIA's latest short-term energy outlook predicts that the installed capacity of utility-scale solar, wind and grid-tied battery storage combined will surpass that of natural gas by 2027. An incredible milestone, and one that's happening despite, not because of, the current White House's energy policies. Meanwhile, a new study published in the journal Energy Research and Social Science has found that large solar farm deployments rarely spark community opposition. In fact, most large-scale solar projects in the US are being built with little to no pushback from local communities, suggesting that whatever voracious news outlets may claim, most people can see the benefit of moving away from fossil fuels just fine. Our recall reminders are coming in a moment, but first, are you looking for your chance to drive off in a brand new electric vehicle and support a non-profit working to make major fossil fuel polluters pay for the climate crisis? What's that? Yes? Well, here's the perfect opportunity for you to do both. Enter this year's electric vehicle raffle from the planet from the CCAN Action Fund, and each ticket gives you 3 chances to win a brand new EV. The first prize winner will build their own luxury Rivian, Lucid or Porsche EV of up to $115,000 in value. Second prize will choose between the Rivian R2, a Volkswagen ID Buzz or Hyundai Ioniq, and the third prize winner will get a Chevrolet Bolt. Only 10,000 tickets are being sold at just $200 each, and every dollar supports the CCAN Action Fund's work to shift the rising costs of climate-related disasters, like increased intensity of floods and wildfires, away from everyday people like you and me and onto those truly responsible, like the largest, dirtiest energy polluters out there. Head over to evraffle.org to grab your tickets now, that's evraffle.org, or find the link in our show notes, or point your smart device at the on-screen QR code right here. Good luck! And now it's time for our recall reminders. As usual, full details are on our website. BMW is recalling the C Evolution electric scooter in the US after noting that corrosion on some vehicles' electrical contacts can cause overheating and an increased risk of fire. Owners will be notified. Honda and Acura have both recalled their GM-built EVs, the Prologue and ZDX, to address a software issue that can cause the rear-view camera image to fail to display. A software update is planned. Oshkosh has recalled the electric variant of its delivery van used by the US Postal Service to address a potential issue with the vehicle's power contactors. They can fail, leaving the vehicle stranded. Hyundai is recalling certain Ioniq 5 and Ioniq 9 vehicles in the US to address a fault with the rear suspension fasteners, which may have been incorrectly tightened at the factory. Tesla is recalling the Model Y to address a missing warning label that is required under federal law. The missing label is meant to show details about maximum vehicle weight ratings. And finally, for the recalls, BMW has recalled the iX3 in Europe due to an issue stemming from a defective charging system that can cause the body of the car to become energized. Owners will be notified. Those were the recall reminders. Now it's time for our news shorts. As usual, you'll find full links on our website at transportevolved.com. The order books have officially opened in the UK for the new Cupra Raval EV. Built on the MEB Plus platform, it's available from £23,785 sterling on the road. Early reservation holders can opt for a limited launch edition of the car at £31,080 sterling. Rad Life Mobility, the company that acquired Rad Powerbike's assets, is offering eligible owners up to 50% off an upgrade to a newer, safer SafeShield battery pack, reducing fire risk. The White Earth Reservation's Pine Point Schools in Minnesota has launched a new 2.7 megawatt-hour solar and battery energy storage system that will help its schools and gain resilience and generate power for the White Earth Nation. Taiwanese solid-state battery maker ProLogium has announced plans to list on the Nasdaq via a reverse merger with special purpose acquisition company TDAC, valuing the company at $3.8 billion. It will trade under the ticker symbol PRLG. Enbridge's Sequoia solar farm in Texas, one of North America's largest, has started generating power. The 400 megawatts are now online and another 415 megawatts are expected by year's end. ENGWE has launched the Zip, a new 250-watt foldable e-bike featuring a removable battery pack that charges via USB-C, making it a practical and portable option for urban commuters. Lancia has unveiled the Gamma, its newest electric vehicle. Built on the STLA Medium platform, it's a crossover fastback with a range of drivetrain options and battery pack options. A major Reuters investigation has found that Tesla's own data labelers, the people who train the full self-driving system, don't trust it to drive them. A veteran engineer called the safety claims bullshit, adding, "Don't trust Elon on this." France is calling on the EU to amend its Industrial Accelerator Act to allow UK-made cars to qualify under its Made in EU rules, a notable shift for a country that previously pushed the strict EU-only criteria. Scania has demonstrated vehicle-to-grid bidirectional charging system using its megawatt charging system. It was able to transfer power at up to 750 kilowatts, which could help trucks power the grid during peak demand periods. Hyundai is rolling out a new mobile service fleet in the US to allow customers to have their cars serviced wherever they happen to be, rather than taking time out to visit a dealer. The state of New York has awarded more than $6 million in funds to 7 different vehicle-to-grid projects across the state. They include commercial vehicle, wireless charging, managed charging, and thermal energy storage applications. For the first time, you can traverse the Columbia Icefield in Jasper National Park in Canada aboard an all-electric Ice Explorer. Purpose-built by Pursuit Attractions in partnership with Noble Northern, it charges via an onboard solar panel system and regenerative braking. After years of offering company car drivers sizable tax benefits even if their vehicle was ICE, the EU is looking to change tax law to phase out perks for non-plug-in drivers. Spanish battery firm Basquevolt has introduced a new semi-solid-state battery cell called the BQV400L. It promises one of the highest performances of any battery cell made in Europe. The JSW Group and Uber have announced a partnership in India that will see JSW Green Mobility work with Uber to explore and scale EV solutions for Indian EV riders and drivers. Bolt SA, which operates ride-sharing services within South Africa, has announced a new EV category to allow customers to pick an EV for their ride rather than a petrol or diesel one. Ireland's An Post has published its 2025 sustainability report, revealing a 50% reduction in carbon emissions compared to 2009 levels, 3 months ahead of schedule, with more than one-half of its delivery fleet now all-electric. Chinese automaker SAIC has started assembling the MG4 EV Urban in Thailand, the first time this specific model has been built outside of China. Whether Thai-built units will be exported to global markets, including Europe, remains to be confirmed. The Indian government is working on a new incentive program for encouraging electric truck and bus adoption. Up to 85,000 crore rupees will be invested into the fund. Zero Carbon Charge in South Africa has launched 2 off-grid solar-powered fast charging stations along the N3 corridor between Johannesburg and Durban, one of South Africa's busiest routes. NIO has reported its Q1 2026 figures, with revenue up 112% year-over-year to 25.5 billion yuan and deliveries nearly doubling, making the company's second consecutive profitable quarter. The UK government has officially opened the application process for companies wishing to be part of its new autonomous vehicle pilot scheme. The programme will include tough compliance criteria. The Nikkei is claiming that Nissan may abandon its previous plans to build an e-axle production facility at its Sunderland plant in the UK. Nissan has not confirmed the rumours at this time. New York has pushed back its planned date by which it wants all school districts in the state to operate all-electric buses. They now have until 2040 to fully electrify their fleets. Volvo Cars has integrated a Tesla Supercharger access into its own in-car plug-and-charge system for European markets. Owners will no longer need to authenticate a Tesla session independently. DHL Supply Chain has broken ground on a new European battery logistics hub in the Netherlands. The facility will handle the full life cycle of EV batteries from storage and testing through to refurbishment and recycling. Chinese electric truck startup Xeron has raised $200 million in its latest funding round as the company doubles down on its autonomous heavy-duty truck ambitions. Citybus in Hong Kong has placed a sizable order for 20 new double-decker electric buses from Wrightbus in the UK. The deal, worth £7 million, will see 20 street-deck electroliners delivered. Xiaomi's EV division posted its Q1 2026 figures this week, recording a 3.1 billion yuan operating loss despite delivering over 80,000 vehicles, a step back after its first profitable year last year. Former Volkswagen CEO Herbert Diess has announced Diess e-Agritechnik, an electric tractor company launching next year. It promises vehicles with swappable batteries for 24/7 operation and a 50% lower running cost than diesel. A new autonomous bus service launched in Gothenburg this week lasted 1 hour before being involved in a collision with a tram. The tram company and transit operators dispute what actually happened. Bosch, in partnership with Mitsubishi, have launched a new battery project in China that focuses on offering battery swapping and battery as a service for heavy-duty truck duties. Scania has announced a new undercab battery module for its trucks that enable even longer operational ranges. It's available to order now, along with MCS charging inlets. There are now more than 200,000 public charging points across Germany. The country has seen an explosion in charging station deployments over the last year, with a 17% year-over-year increase in just the last 12 months. Wisconsin has opened up a new round of NEVI funding to help expand EV charging provision across the state. At the time of filming, it has around $40 million left to fund new infrastructure. A new bill being considered by legislators in Delaware could change the rules on e-bikes by requiring strict adherence to advertising guidelines. The Truth in E-Bike Marketing Act would put pressure on vendors to properly label their bikes. Specialized has launched a new Class 3 electric bike in the US called the Turbo Vado 3X 6.0. It offers 810 watts of assisted power and a claimed 150-kilometer range. It also costs $8,000. Honda's Super One electric hot hatch is officially on sale in Japan, and it's already creating quite a stir. Priced from around 3.39 million yen, it's racked up over 7,000 pre-orders in just a month. Ganfeng Lithium has announced a new milestone in solid-state batteries with what it says is the world's first 10 amp-hour solid-state battery with an energy density in excess of 500 watt-hours per kilogram. It supplies batteries for multiple major OEMs. And finally, for the news shorts, New York State has effectively shelved plans to regulate e-bike riders this year, with legislators running out of time due to delayed budget processes. The issue is now unlikely to return until 2027. And those are your news shorts. There will be more next week. Our final two news stories are coming in a moment, but first a word on how we do what we do. Our channel has been around for 15 years now, and we've always tried to focus on making good information free for all, not stuck behind a paywall and not driven by advertorials. And that means we rely on your donations and support to keep us keeping on. 10 years ago, YouTube ad revenue paid our bills, but that's no longer the case as advertisers go elsewhere and YouTube sucks up more of our income on fees. So instead, we'd love to encourage you to consider supporting us from $1.50 a month on Patreon or YouTube, support us with a one-off Ko-fi donation, or visit our swag store. Or perhaps, if you're in the US, you'd consider using one of our long-time channel sponsors, Energy Sage. They're a great way to get verified, trustworthy solar experts helping you navigate the often complex process of getting solar panels for your home. I personally use them for my own home, so I can vouch for their awesomeness. And if you choose them, whether for solar panels, a heat pump, or just to join a local community solar program, which is perfect for renters, will receive a small referral fee. Supporting us would really mean a lot, and you could also be weaning yourself off big energy bills at the very same time. You have to agree, that's very nice. And now it's time for our final two stories. Regulars to the channel will know that I am a fan of electric motorcycles, and Vi, our DP, is a fan of trials bike riding, so this next story is a combination of our interests. For a long time, electric motorcycles have been making themselves known in the motocross world, but trials riding has resisted the switch. The sport traditionally relies on a skilled balance of clutch, throttle and body position that many believed only a combustion engine could provide. But at the opening round of the 2026 Trial GP World Championships at Mobility Resort Motegi in Japan, Miguel Gelabert, riding a Honda RTL Electric, showed that electric is ready to enter the sport. He secured 6th overall on day 1 and 5th overall on day 2, which is genuinely competitive results against a petrol-powered field. Gelabert dropped down to the Trial 2 class in 2025, specifically to help Honda develop the RTL Electric, nearly winning the championship in the process. And this year, with the bike sufficiently improved, he stepped back up to the Premier class, and the results speak for themselves. The sport is still dominated by lightweight gas bikes, but what was on display this past weekend is an exciting glimpse into the future of trials. So watch this space. And finally, as anyone who has tried to fast charge an EV in cold weather will tell you, it's not a pleasant experience, as EV battery packs traditionally charge slower when cold than when warm. And if you owned certain EVs, like the early Chevrolet Bolt EV for example, you'll see your summertime max charge rate of 55 kilowatts drop to barely 20 kilowatts when the mercury has fallen, extending fast charging times and long distance trips. But this week, BYD published a video of its latest flash charging test, showing that its flash charge technology is capable of charging from 20 to 97% full blisteringly quickly, even when it's frigid outside. Chilling one of its Denza Z9 GT performance cars to minus 30 degrees Celsius in a climate chamber for 24 hours, the company demonstrated that it's possible to charge from 20 to 97% in just 12 minutes, despite the extreme cold, which is just 3 minutes longer than the same charging would take at normal room temperature. Sure, it's in a lab, and sure, in the real world there will be variations, but that's dang impressive, however you cut it. And on that note, we are done for today's show. But first, a massive thank you to the Electric Vehicle Association for sponsoring us. The EVA has been around since 1967 and is firmly committed to a cleaner, greener future for everyone. Join the EVA today, become an EV educator, and find ways to accelerate your own transition to electric if you haven't made the switch yet. Head to myeva.org for more info. And thanks as well to CCAN Action Fund. Tickets are only $200, only 10,000 are being sold, and each ticket gets you 3 chances to win a brand new EV, so don't hang about. Grab your ticket today at evraffle.org. And thanks as well go to Energy Sage. Follow the link below to start planning your own energy-independent future today. And of course, thank you. If you're able, please consider supporting us using one of the methods I mentioned earlier in the show. Supporting us can also mean sharing our content, joining our Fluxer or Discord communities, promoting us on social media, or using our affiliate links, all of which are linked below. And if you are new to this channel, hi, please give us a sub, either on YouTube or on PeerTube. Finally, you matter. You're important, and while you may not always feel it, your voice and actions matter to everyone. I know it's hard in a world filled with hate to feel like you have a place, but I want you to know you do, in fact, have one. The fact that you're here watching this means a lot to myself and to the team, and we are very grateful that you are here and that you are you. The world is scary. The news headlines are almost too much to bear at times. But remember that even the strongest people need time to reset and recuperate. So don't be afraid to do that. Don't be afraid to speak your truth. Take your time and listen to your own heart. The world we build together is much stronger when we all have a voice, when we all listen, and when everyone is welcome. A cleaner, greener, safer, smarter, and more equitable world must be one rooted in justice, fairness, and a shared goal. So until next time, be your authentic self, whatever that is, whoever you are, wherever you are, and whoever you love. You are all part of this wonderful journey we're on together. And as always, keep evolving.